Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to Sir Tony and all of my fellow friends. So today our group will present about our seminar paper, which is role of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia. Before we begin our presentation, let me introduce the group members, which are myself, Nurul Mazni, Dayang Nur Fazela, Intan Nur Kamarina, and Siti Nur Hidayah. So, let me begin with the introduction for this seminar paper. New public management, known as the public management, reform as the foundation of new institutional economic to public administration, has described policy pattern making. The term new public management refers to a collection of changes that have altered the nature of government organization. NPM is a fresh or new concept or mechanism for managing such as designing, steering and controlling organization in the public sector. Financial management is an essential aspect of internal government management and in NPM. This is because every government action requires the expenditure to operate. Therefore, it is natural for the government to spend money to do government activity. However, a weak in public financial management could lead to damages. Corruption occurs in an effective public financial management PFM system. This will harm government budget, public trust in the government, service delivery, and others. So, in order to prevent corruption, anti-corruption initiatives are implemented and used in Malaysian government. This is to prevent and combat corruption. Anti-corruption agencies are crucial in the prevention, detection, and investigation of corruption.
I am Intan Nur Kamarina and I will present about literature review. So I will explain about the concept that have been used in the seminar paper and we applied in the concept in the topic of the discussion. So the first concept is new public management. According to NOR 2006, the new public management referred to a series of recent administrative improvements aimed at enhancing public sector efficiency and performance in service delivery. NPMs represent a significant shift in government administration, one that redefines and embraces changes in its structure, procedure, and ideals. So from this concept, we use this as our reference for us to correlate with our discussion, which is the role of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia government. Moving on to the next concept, which is financial management. According to NOR 2011, public finance management involved the prudent allocation and utilization of public financial resources to enhance public sector management and achieve the national objective. In addition, according to Dorotinsky and Paradan, corruption in public finance management scars diverse resources away from public purpose, jeopardize the ability of the government to achieve their agenda, and directly affect growth, sustainable development. This can be seen that financial management is closely related with new public management. Also, in financial management, it emphasizes about corruption. The next concept is corruption. According to NOR 2007, public sector has long been criticized for inefficiency, red tape, a lack of flexibility, inadequate accountability, and poor performance, among other things. And according to UNDP 1999, private sector is engaged in the majority of incidents of the government corruption, which involve the misuse of money or favor for personal benefit, abuse of official power, or influence in return for money to get specific personal advantages. The last concept is anti-corruption. According to GOM 2004, Anti-Corruption Agency ACA is the most important and powerful institution mechanism for fighting corruption in Malaysia. Its responsibility to prevent and eradicate all form of corruption and misuse of power. And according to CIDIC 2005, the mere existence of Public Complaint Bureau is said to provide a passive check on administration. It's responsible for receiving and investigating complaints arising from public dissatisfaction with government administration. These two agencies, Anti-Corruption Agency (ACA) and Public Complaint Bureau (PCB), are examples of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia. That is all for literature review. Thank you.
As for the methodology, qualitative research was chosen because this method are to disclose an opinion concerning particular topic. So to begin with, researcher conducted a deeper examination of accessible literature in order to acquire a clear grasp of recent trends in corruptions. So this include using scholarly literature, government and international reports and publication, as well as non-traditional sources, including newspaper and news websites. The qualitative research approaches, for example, interview, target unit, deductive approach, and case study research. Because this seminar paper used a variety sources of information from past research, so an explanatory case study is chosen. So in order to understand and examine the role of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia, this method has enabled to offer additional insight into what gaps or issues exist in Malaysian government. Not only that, the use of several data sources also has increased the study reliability and validity. This also lead to the secondary data collecting using only secondary data either internally or externally. As for the next slide, is regarding the finding and discussion. First is corruption cases in Malaysia. Second is role of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia. And third, anti-corruption institutions and strategies in Malaysia. The first case that got into the list is the mishandling of assets in the investment fund One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB in 2015. The 1MDB case is viewed as perhaps the most significant corruption case in the history of the Malaysian government. This case is about the misuse and laundering billions of money by by the previous Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, his wife Rosmah Mansor, and Law Tek Jo or Jolo, a Malaysian entrepreneur and ally of Najib, who are all members of the 1MDB advisory board and who are also a Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission belief involved in this scandal. The Malaysian previous Prime Minister was accused of channeling over 2.67 billion from 1MDB fund to his personal accounts and offshore account. It is also possible because the fraudulent statement made by its officer where 1MDB is reported has not have a proper external account audit since 2013. And the accused is also suspected of going on an extravagant shopping spree worldwide, including buying luxury goods, pricey jewelry, and even sponsoring a famous Hollywood film. And the consequences is that the 1MDB has accumulated debts of nearly 42 billion ringgit. The following case related to corruption among government servants is the shocking Sabah State Water Department 2016 corruption case. The case started when the MSCC investigated suspected misuse of power within the Sabah State Water Department. There appeared to have been corruption case concerning the misuse of federal allocations for water ventures in Sabah ever since 2010. There is claim for the unjust division of water project tender in the said department. Therefore, in October 2016, the MSCC searched the office and homes of two Sabahans and discovered 52 million ringgit. It almost took 30 MSCC officials and 15 hours to count all of it, making this is the highest ever confiscate by MSCC in the Malaysian history of corruptions. Further investigation found that the director and his deputy have been associated with 38 different firms and believe this firm have received contract to participate in limited water development bids. MSCC also exposed that only 40% of the federal government water allocation was used for water improvement in Sabah, where the rest of it has been pocketed by irresponsible individuals. As for the anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia, firstly is to ensure transparency. Transparency indicates that the public has access to information about the activities of public administration bodies. In other words, it's a concept of eradicating all barriers and enabling information access to public and facilitate procedure, rules and regulation to those citizens. For example, the Sabah State Water Department 2016 corruption case happened due to the unclear in the public procurement process in giving out the water development project. This is because they are not disclosed the proper procedure in applying the water development project. Therefore, the government need to provide a precise instruction to contractors in this regard to clarify the public procurement process. Transparency also give benefits to every personnel in public sector because that if they know all the accounts and procedure are available for public review, it might improve the government bodies performance by instilling ongoing discipline in every each of them. And not only that, the anti-corruption initiative also able to create transparency, as transparency is regarded as a critical function of successful governance and efficiency. For the second role of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia is create accountability. Accountability, the fact or condition of being accountable or responsibility. And accountability also signifies the concern and duty of government institutional worker to perform the activities in the best interest of the public, and that institutional officials should take responsibility for their activities performed. Accountability is the fundamental prerequisite for preventing abuse of power and for ensuring that power is directed towards the achievement of efficiency and effectiveness. For example, the Department of Water is accountable in giving the allocated fund by the federal government to fund the water development project. But things happen differently in Sabah Water Department. So when authorities complete their tasks in an efficient and competent manner, it is possible to remove corrupt practices and hold them accountable for any mistakes they make while performing their duties. For the last role of anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia is promoting integrity. Integrity is exemplified by honesty and consistency in doing the right thing according to one's values, beliefs, and principles, even when no one is watching. It convinces public that the government is acting in their best interests, and it is critical for society's overall economic growth and well-being. So without the integrity, the corruption such as bribery, embezzlement, misuse property by a public official, and abuse of power will happen. For example, the National Integrity Plan of Malaysia that acts as a framework for achieving the goal of improving integrity. That is why anti-corruption initiative able to strengthening the bridge of integrities in one's belief as well as improving good governance and ethics.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Siti Nur Hidayah, and I will be presenting the anti-corruption institution and strategies plan towards the combating the corruption in Malaysia. Okay, the Malaysian government has made a concerted effort and implemented a complex set of initiatives aimed at combating corruption and promoting social integrity. Anti-corruption authorities are crucial in the prevention, detection, and investigation of corruption. A strong anti-corruption agency is a powerful weapon in the battle against corruption. So, one of the activator of anti-corruption, which is known as anti-corruption institution, is Anti-Corruption Agency or ACA. Malaysia's anti-corruption agency is the country's most powerful and vital institutional tool. ACA was founded in 1967 with the mission of preventing and eliminating all forms of corruption, such as power abuse and mismanagement from society. The Anti-Corruption Act of 1997 gave the Anti-Corruption Commission the authority to investigate, question arrest, and prosecute offenders, as well as access records and witnesses, freeze assets and seize passport, monitor income and assets, and suggest administrative and legislative change. The ACS strategy is divided into three parts, which is education, prevention, and enforcement. The goal of the education plan is to instill ethical values in members of the public and the civil service. This is done to instill a sense of disgust and intolerance towards corruption. Building relationship with the community and enlisting their help in the battle against corruption is becoming more important. Aside from that, ACA holds conversations, public campaigns, and seminars to clarify anti-bribery legislation and encourage the public to take anti-corruption measures and report corruption incidents to ACA. Since prevention is viewed as a major tactic to combat corruption, ACA has been active in the area of improving rules and procedures. This is also to improve the anti-corruption measures deterrent. As a result, the ACA effort includes identifying areas of government activity that are particularly vulnerable to corruption and making recommendations to relevant authorities for evaluation and reform in order to close loopholes in the system and procedure. Through investigation and prosecution, ACA also aims to confront and punish corrupt elements in society. As a result, the existence of ACA serves as an activator in the fight against corruption, and ACA should also strengthen their systems and procedures to ensure that corruption cases are reduced. Furthermore, there is also a Public Complaint Bureau as an activator towards anti-corruption in Malaysia. PCB was founded in 1971 as a focal point for the public to submit complaints or grievances and seek remedies for any alleged administrative lapse or abuse in dealing with the bureaucracy. The PCB is in charge of receiving and investigating complaints about government administration from the general public. PCB also forward decisions from PCPC to ministries, federal and state departments, statutory bodies, local authorities and agencies for the purpose of corrective action and action monitoring. The PCB also has the authority to receive and investigate public complaints against civil servants on things that are deemed unjust, actions that are not compliant with the law, and power abuse. The public complaints that is PCB receive encompass all aspects of government with the exception of those referring to government policy and matters involving the ACS power. Aside from the establishment of anti-corruption laws, the government has also implemented a strategy to combat corruption, which is the National Integrity Plan, or known as NIP. The purpose of NIP is to encourage a culture of integrity in society. The NIP has created a comprehensive framework for society to promote ethics and integrity. This NIP the NIP aim to instilling and nurturing an ethical culture and integrity at all levels of Malaysia society. NIP focuses on individuals, families, the private sector, government, social culture, agency, non-governmental organization, and politicians. NIP also plans to boost anti-corruption efforts, prompting the government to build an anti-corruption academy to train ACA staff as well as peers from other Asia-Pacific countries. As a result, the Anti-Corruption Academy, which was recently established, is intended to help the anti-corruption capacity building in the region and promote best practices and tools in corruption investigation, monitoring, and enforcement. Last but not least, anti-bribery management system (ABMS) also one of the strategy that introduced to prevent corruption in the organizational anti-corruption plan. The aim of ABMS is to detect, prevent, and respond to bribery and corruption. The implementation of an anti-bribery and anti-corruption management system assists commercial organizations in demonstrating that reasonable efforts or appropriate procedures have been taken to mitigate potential bribery and corruption hazards. The ABMS will serve as the document controller for all ABMS policies, procedures, and forms for this purpose. To guarantee that the ABMS objectives are met, the ABMS compliance function will conduct internal audits as needed and coordinate with various departments to ensure that the ABMS is continually improved to meet its criteria. To conclude all, the anti-corruption institution and strategy is as an activate as an activator to combat corruption in Malaysia. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
To conclude, this paper reveals the corruption that been happen in the country and how this corruption become an enemy which affected in many aspects such as economy, politics and social. The corruption issue become a threat for all countries around the world and it had happened since a long time ago. On 2012, it been the worst record for Malaysia in Corruption Perception Index CPI that made Malaysia in a bad ranking which is 183 in the world. This shows that the corruption such a huge problem and this will lead to the bad perceptions toward our country. There are many efforts that been done in order to solve the corruption in Malaysia such as anti-corruption initiative. This initiative include the involvement of many institutions such as the establishment of Anti-Corruption Agency ACA, the Public Complaints Bureau PCB and others. The anti-corruption initiative in Malaysia plays important role which aim to fight the corruption in the country. So, all of the parties in the country must cooperate with each other to address the role of anti-corruption in Malaysia to ensure the efforts in combat corruption. I think that's all from us. Thank you.